Dr. Emily Watson stepped off the transport shuttle and onto Kepler Station. Her heart was beating fast with excitement. She was the first human doctor ever accepted into the Galactic Medical Center's special program for treating alien creatures. This was the biggest moment of her career. The space station was huge and shiny. Clean white walls stretched in every direction. Bright lights made everything look like a perfect hospital. Emily had dreamed about this place for years. She had studied hard to get here, learning about different alien species and their biology. But something was wrong. Instead of calm doctors and nurses walking around, everyone seemed worried and scared. People were running through the hallways. Red warning lights were flashing. Emergency announcements kept playing over the speakers. Emily pulled her medical bag closer and looked around. She had expected her first day to be exciting, but not like this. A tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms came rushing toward her. His face looked very stressed. "Are you Dr. Watson?" he asked quickly. "I am Dr. Marcus. I chose a human name so it would be easier for you to remember. We have a big problem and we need all the help we can get." Emily nodded and followed him through the long corridors. Other alien doctors and nurses hurried past them. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked almost human except for their strange-colored skin. All of them looked frightened. "What kind of problem?" Emily asked as they walked fast down another hallway. "We found something 3 days ago," Dr. Marcus explained. His 4 arms were moving around as he talked, showing how nervous he was. "A creature. We rescued it from a broken spaceship that was floating in space. But now we don't know what to do with it." They stopped in front of a thick metal door with small windows. Dr. Marcus pressed some buttons and the door opened. Emily followed him into a room filled with computers and medical equipment. Through a large glass wall, she could see into another room. Emily's eyes went wide. Inside the other room was the biggest creature she had ever seen. It was as large as a small truck, covered in dark brown fur. It had 4 legs and a long tail. Its head was big with pointed ears and sharp teeth that she could see when it opened its mouth. The creature was moving around frantically, hitting the walls and making loud, angry sounds. "How big is it?" Emily whispered. "About the size of your Earth elephants," Dr. Marcus replied. "But much more dangerous. It has already hurt 3 of our medical staff. They are still in the hospital recovering from their injuries." Emily watched the creature more carefully. Thick energy beams were holding it in place, but it kept trying to break free. Its eyes were rolling around wildly and it was breathing very hard. Medical machines around the room were beeping loudly, showing that the creature was very stressed. "What happened when it hurt the staff members?" Emily asked. Dr. Marcus looked uncomfortable. Dr. Harrison, our chief medical officer, tried to examine it. The creature attacked him immediately. Then Dr. Sarah tried to give it medicine to make it sleep, but it knocked her across the room. Dr. Michael tried to take a blood sample and the creature bit him. Emily studied the readings on the computer screens. The creature's heart was beating very fast. Its body temperature was high. All the numbers showed that it was extremely frightened and stressed. "What kind of treatments have you tried?" she asked. "Everything we know," Dr. Marcus said sadly. "We gave it powerful sleeping drugs, but they didn't work. We tried using sound waves to calm it down, but it got more angry. We even tried using mind control devices, but the creature's brain doesn't respond to them." Just then, another alien walked into the room. This one looked like a big lizard walking on 2 legs. His scales were bright red, which Emily had learned meant he was very angry or upset. This had to be Dr. Harrison, the chief medical officer. "You must be the human doctor," he said in a deep voice. "I hope you are not expecting to help with this situation. The creature is impossible to treat. It is wild and dangerous. The only safe thing to do is to put it to sleep permanently." Emily felt shocked. "You want to kill it?" "It is not killing," Dr. Harrison said firmly. "It is a medical decision. The creature cannot be helped and it is a danger to everyone on this station. We have tried everything in our medical books. Nothing works." Emily looked back at the creature through the glass. It had stopped moving around so much and was now standing in the corner. It was still breathing hard, but something about the way it was standing reminded her of something. She couldn't figure out what. "How long since it has eaten?" she asked. "We have been giving it nutrition through tubes," Dr. Marcus answered. "It won't eat the food we offer. And it hasn't slept. The stress levels are too high for natural sleep," Dr. Harrison said. "This is why we must end its suffering." Emily watched the creature for a few more minutes. Every time a medical robot moved near the glass, the creature would back away and make frightened sounds. When the robots left, it would slowly come forward again. Something about this behavior was very familiar to Emily, but she couldn't remember what. All she knew was that the creature didn't look truly aggressive. It looked scared. I would like to observe it for a while longer, Emily said quietly. Dr. Harrison's scales turned even more red. There is nothing more to observe. We will terminate the creature tomorrow morning. The next morning, Emily arrived at the medical station early. She had not slept well because she kept thinking about the creature. Something was bothering her, but she could not figure out what it was. She found Dr. Harrison in his office looking at papers on his desk. His scales were still red, which meant he was still angry about the situation. When he saw Emily, he looked up with tired eyes. Dr. Watson, I hope you have come to say goodbye to the creature. We will terminate it in 2 hours, he said in a firm voice. Emily sat down in the chair across from his desk. Dr. Harrison, I think we might be making a mistake. Can I ask you something? His scales changed from red to orange, showing he was getting annoyed. What kind of mistake? We have tried every medical treatment we know. The creature is dangerous and cannot be helped. But have you tried to understand why it is acting this way? Emily asked. She pulled out her tablet and showed him the numbers she had been studying all night. Look at these readings. The creature only gets aggressive when medical staff approach it with equipment. Dr. Harrison looked at the screen but shook his head. Of course it reacts badly to medical treatment. Wild animals do not understand that we are trying to help them. What if it is not a wild animal? Emily said quietly. What if it is intelligent and just scared? Dr. Harrison's scales flashed bright red. Impossible. We scanned its brain. It shows no signs of higher intelligence. It is just a large, dangerous beast. Emily had expected this answer, but she was not ready to give up. Can I show you something? I spent all night watching the security recordings of the creature. She turned her tablet around so Dr. Harrison could see the screen. The video showed the creature in its containment room, but this was from times when no medical staff were around. Watch what it does when it thinks no one is looking, Emily said. In the video, the creature was not acting wild or aggressive. Instead, it was sitting quietly in the corner making soft, sad sounds. It kept looking toward the door as if waiting for someone. When small cleaning robots came into the room, the creature did not attack them. It just watched them work and then went back to sitting quietly. Dr. Harrison watched the video with surprise. His scales slowly changed from red to a confused blue color. This is unusual behavior. Now watch what happens when medical staff approach, Emily said, switching to a different video. This time, the creature's behavior was completely different. As soon as it saw doctors or nurses with medical equipment, it would back into the corner. Its body would become tense and ready to fight. It would make loud warning sounds. But even then, Emily noticed something important. Look carefully at how it attacks, she said, pausing the video at the moment the creature knocked down Dr. Sarah. It is not trying to kill or seriously hurt anyone. It pushes them away and then backs off immediately. That is not the behavior of a truly aggressive predator. Dr. Harrison studied the video more carefully. Emily could see that he was starting to think about what she was saying, even though he did not want to admit it. I have been thinking about this all night, Emily continued. Back on Earth, I worked with many traumatized animals before I became a space doctor. Animals that had been hurt or separated from their families. They acted exactly like this creature is acting. She switched to another part of the video. Listen to the sounds it makes when it is alone. The creature was making low, quiet sounds that almost sounded like crying. Emily had heard similar sounds from lost puppies and scared cats back on Earth. Those are not aggressive sounds, she explained. Those are the sounds of a frightened, lonely creature that does not understand what is happening to it. Dr. Harrison was quiet for a long time, watching the videos. His scales kept changing colors as he thought about what Emily was showing him. But our medical scanners show that it has the brain of a simple animal, he said finally. How can it be intelligent? Emily had thought about this too. What if our scanners are not designed to recognize this type of intelligence? What if this creature's brain works differently than any species we have studied before? She pulled up more data on her tablet. I also noticed something else. Every time the creature gets stressed, these specific brain areas light up on the scans. On Earth, those same brain areas are active in animals when they are remembering their families or their homes. Dr. Harrison looked at the brain scans with growing interest. His scales were now a thoughtful yellow color. You think the creature is homesick? He asked. I think the creature was taken away from everything familiar and is now surrounded by strange beings who keep trying to hurt it with medical equipment, Emily explained. From its perspective, we are not doctors trying to help. We are scary aliens who are torturing it. Emily stood up and walked to the window that looked out into space. She could see the stars and other spaceships moving around the station. Dr. Harrison, what if we have this completely wrong? What if this creature is not just intelligent, but comes from a peaceful species? What if it only acts aggressive because it thinks we are going to hurt it? Dr. Harrison was quiet for a very long time. Emily could tell he was thinking hard about everything she had shown him. Finally, his scales changed to a pale green color, which meant he was uncertain. What do you suggest we do? He asked. Emily turned back to face him. Let me try a different approach. Give me 1 hour with the creature. If I am wrong, then you can proceed with your plan. Emily waited until the night shift started. Most of the alien doctors had gone home, and only a few nurses were working in other parts of the station. This was her chance to try something that Dr. Harrison would never allow during regular working hours. Dr. James, the only other human on the station, met her outside the containment room. He looked very worried and kept checking to make sure no one was watching them. Emily, are you sure about this? He whispered. If Dr. Harrison finds out what you are doing, he will send you back to Earth immediately. And if something goes wrong, that creature could seriously hurt you. Emily looked through the glass at the creature. It was sitting in the corner again, making those sad sounds she had heard in the videos. Its big eyes looked tired and lonely. I have to try, James. We are going to kill an innocent creature just because we are too scared to understand it, she said quietly. I cannot let that happen without trying everything possible. She had brought a small bag with her. Inside were some food treats from the station cafeteria. They were not much, just some sweet nutrient bars that most species seem to enjoy. She also had a soft blanket from her room. What is your plan? Dr. James asked, watching her prepare. I am going to do exactly the opposite of what everyone else has done, Emily explained. No medical equipment, no restraints, no aggressive behavior. I am just going to sit with it and be calm. Dr. James shook his head. Emily, that creature weighs more than a small truck. Even if it does not mean to hurt you, it could accidentally crush you. Emily understood his concern, but she had made up her mind. James, I need you to watch from out here. If something goes really wrong, call for help. But please, do not interfere unless I am in serious danger. She walked over to the control panel and began turning off the energy restraints that were holding the creature in place. Warning alarms started beeping, but she quickly shut them off before they could wake up the other staff members. The creature immediately noticed that the energy beams were gone. It stood up and looked around, confused. For a moment, Emily wondered if she was making a terrible mistake. The creature was even bigger when it was standing up. Emily opened the door to the containment room very slowly. The creature turned to look at her, and she could see intelligence in its eyes. Not the simple intelligence of a regular animal, but something deeper and more complex. Hello there, she said in the softest voice she could manage. I know you are scared. I know everyone here seems scary to you. But I am not going to hurt you. The creature backed away from her, pressing itself against the far wall. Emily could see that it was shaking slightly. She sat down on the floor near the entrance, making herself as small and non-threatening as possible. For the next 20 minutes, nothing happened. Emily just sat quietly, occasionally speaking in gentle tones. She told the creature about Earth, about her home, about why she had come to space. She did not know if it could understand her words, but she hoped it could understand the tone of her voice. Slowly, very slowly, the creature began to relax. Its breathing became less rapid. The shaking stopped. It began to watch Emily with curious eyes instead of fearful ones. Then something amazing happened. The creature took one small step toward her. Emily's heart started beating faster, but she forced herself to stay completely still. She continued talking in the same gentle voice, as if nothing unusual was happening. That is good, she whispered. You are very brave. I know this is scary, but you are doing great. Step by step, the creature moved closer to Emily. She could see that it was moving very carefully, ready to run away if she made any sudden movements. But Emily remained perfectly still, just talking quietly and calmly. When the creature was close enough for Emily to smell its fur, it stopped and studied her face. Emily could see incredible intelligence in its eyes. This was definitely not a simple animal. This was a thinking, feeling being that had been terrified and alone. Emily slowly reached into her bag and pulled out one of the nutrient bars. She held it out in her open palm, not moving toward the creature, just offering it. The creature looked at the food, then at Emily's face, then back at the food. After a long moment, it stretched out its neck and very gently took the treat from her hand. Its mouth was warm and soft, not at all like the dangerous weapon she had expected. "You are just a big puppy, are not you?" Emily whispered with a smile. The creature seemed to understand that she was being kind. It made a soft sound that was almost like purring. Then, to Emily's amazement, it slowly lay down next to her and rested its enormous head near her lap. Emily reached out very carefully and touched the creature's fur. It was incredibly soft and warm. The creature made that purring sound again and closed its eyes, as if it finally felt safe for the first time in days. "There you go," Emily said softly, gently stroking the creature's head. "You are not dangerous at all. You are just scared and lonely and far from home." For the first time since arriving at the station, the creature's body completely relaxed. Its breathing became slow and peaceful. All the stress readings on the medical monitors dropped to normal levels. Emily continued to sit with the creature, petting it gently and talking to it in soothing tones. She realized that this moment would change everything for alien medicine. Sometimes the most advanced technology could not replace simple kindness and understanding. Dr. Harrison arrived at the medical station early the next morning, ready to carry out the termination procedure. His scales were set in a determined red color as he walked toward the containment area. But when he reached the observation room, he stopped in complete shock. Through the glass wall, he could see Emily sitting peacefully on the floor with the massive creature lying calmly beside her. The creature's head was resting near her lap while she gently stroked its fur. Both of them looked completely relaxed and comfortable. "What is happening here?" Dr. Harrison demanded, his scales flashing bright orange with confusion. Dr. James, who had been watching all night, turned around with tired but excited eyes. "Emily did it, sir. She actually made friends with the creature. Look at the medical readings." Dr. Harrison looked at the computer screens that showed the creature's vital signs. Everything was perfect. The heart rate was normal and steady. The stress hormones were at the lowest levels they had recorded since bringing the creature to the station. The brain activity showed patterns of contentment and peace. "This is impossible," Dr. Harrison whispered. "How did she do this?" Other medical staff began arriving for their morning shift. Soon, a small crowd of alien doctors and nurses had gathered in the observation room, all staring in amazement at the peaceful scene. Dr. Marcus, the blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, was shaking his head in disbelief. "In all my years of medical practice, I have never seen anything like this. The creature that was trying to attack us yesterday is now acting like a gentle pet." Emily noticed the crowd watching them and slowly stood up. The creature immediately became alert, but when it saw that Emily was not afraid, it remained calm. She walked to the intercom system so she could talk to the medical staff outside. "Good morning, everyone," she said with a tired but happy smile. "I would like you all to meet our patient. I think we have been seriously misunderstanding what kind of creature this is." Dr. Harrison activated his side of the intercom. "Dr. Watson, please explain what happened here. How did you manage to calm this dangerous beast?" "That is exactly the problem," Emily replied. "This is not a dangerous beast. This is an intelligent, emotional being that has been scared and traumatized. Everything we thought we knew about this creature was wrong." She turned to look at the creature, which was watching the conversation with interested eyes. "I think this creature comes from a social species. It needs companionship and kindness, not medical restraints and aggressive treatment." Dr. Sarah, one of the doctors who had been injured by the creature, arrived at the observation room. Her arm was still in a bandage from where the creature had knocked her down. When she saw the peaceful scene, her mouth fell open in surprise. "How is this possible?" she asked. "That creature nearly broke my arm 2 days ago." Emily looked at Dr. Sarah with sympathy. "I am sorry that happened to you. But I think the creature was not trying to hurt you. It was trying to protect itself from what it thought was an attack." Over the next few hours, Emily worked with the alien medical team to understand what had happened. She explained her theory that the creature had been separated from its family or social group and was reacting with fear to all the medical procedures. "Think about it from the creature's perspective," Emily said during a meeting with all the senior medical staff. "It wakes up on a strange place surrounded by alien beings it has never seen before. Then these aliens start trying to stick needles in it and restrain it with energy beams. Of course it would try to defend itself." Dr. Marcus was taking careful notes. "So you believe the creature's aggressive behavior was actually defensive behavior?" "Exactly," Emily nodded. "And now that it understands we are not trying to hurt it, Look how gentle and intelligent it is. To prove her point, Emily returned to the containment room with some of the medical staff watching. The creature immediately came over to her and made happy purring sounds. She was able to examine its wounds without any restraints or sedatives. The creature held perfectly still while she cleaned its injuries and applied healing treatments. Incredible, Dr. Harrison whispered. His scales had changed to a thoughtful yellow color. It is cooperating completely with the medical examination. But the most amazing discovery came when Dr. Marcus tried a new approach. Instead of using the standard medical scanners, he used communication equipment designed for first contact with new intelligent species. The creature immediately responded to the communication signals. It began making complex sounds and gestures that clearly showed it was trying to communicate with them. This is not an animal, Dr. Marcus said with excitement. This is definitely an intelligent being trying to talk to us. Emily smiled as she watched the creature attempt to communicate with Dr. Marcus. I think this creature has been trying to tell us something important this whole time. We just were not listening. Dr. Harrison looked at the communication readings with amazement. The pattern complexity suggests high intelligence, possibly even higher than some species we already have diplomatic relations with. Which means, Emily said quietly, we almost killed a member of an intelligent species just because we did not understand its behavior. The weight of this realization settled over the entire medical team. They had come very close to making a terrible mistake that could have had serious consequences for relations with a new alien species. Dr. Harrison's scales turned a deep purple color, showing shame and regret. Dr. Watson, I owe you an apology. Your methods have taught us something very important about how we approach unknown species. Emily looked at the creature, which seemed to sense the change in mood and was making gentle, encouraging sounds. I think this creature is going to teach us much more than we expected. 3 weeks had passed since Emily's breakthrough with the creature. The medical station had become a much happier place. The creature, whom Emily had started calling Buddy, was now walking freely around the medical bay. He followed Emily everywhere she went, like a loyal dog following its owner. Buddy had learned to be very gentle around the smaller alien staff members. He would carefully step around them and make soft greeting sounds when he met someone new. All the doctors and nurses who had once been afraid of him now enjoyed having him around. Emily was teaching other medical staff her new methods of treating unknown species. Instead of immediately using restraints and medical equipment, they now tried to understand the emotional needs of their patients first. Remember, Emily told a group of young medical students, intelligence comes in many different forms. Just because a creature does not think like we do does not mean it is not intelligent. Buddy was sitting beside her during the lesson, occasionally making gentle sounds as if he was helping to teach the students. Everyone had grown to love the big, friendly creature. But everything changed on a Tuesday morning when the Space Traffic Control announced that an unknown ship was approaching the station. The ship was sending communication signals, but they were in a language that the station's computers could not understand. Dr. Harrison, whose scales were now usually a calm green color, came rushing to find Emily and Buddy in the medical bay. Dr. Watson, we have a situation, he said, but he did not sound worried. He sounded excited. The approaching ship is sending signals that match the communication patterns we recorded from Buddy. Emily felt her heart start beating faster. You think it might be Buddy's people? It is very possible, Dr. Harrison replied. They are requesting permission to dock. They seem to be searching for something or someone. Emily looked down at Buddy, who had suddenly become very alert. His ears were pointing forward and he was making excited sounds. Somehow, he seemed to know that something important was happening. The alien ship docked with Kepler Station an hour later. Emily watched through the windows as several creatures walked off the ship. They looked exactly like Buddy, but they were walking upright on their back legs and wearing beautiful robes decorated with silver patterns. Emily's mouth fell open in surprise. They are not animals at all. They are people. The leader of the group was slightly larger than the others and wore the most beautiful robes. Through the universal translator, his voice came through clearly when he spoke to Dr. Harrison. Greetings, the alien leader said in a deep, kind voice. I am Ambassador Thomas. We have chosen human names to make communication easier with your species. We have come searching for our lost family member. A young one who disappeared when our transport ship was damaged in space. Dr. Harrison looked nervous but excited. Ambassador Thomas, we may have found who you are looking for. But first, I must apologize. We did not realize your family member was an intelligent being. We treated him as we would treat a wild animal. Ambassador Thomas looked concerned. Is the young one hurt? Is he well? He is perfectly healthy, Emily said, stepping forward. In fact, he has taught us many important things about how to treat people from species we do not understand. They led Ambassador Thomas and his group to the medical bay where Buddy was waiting. The moment Buddy saw them, he made sounds of pure joy and ran toward them as fast as he could. The reunion was beautiful to watch. Buddy and his family members wrapped their arms around each other and made happy crying sounds. Emily had to wipe tears from her own eyes as she watched the family come back together. "Thank you," Ambassador Thomas said to Emily after the reunion celebration had calmed down. "Young David here has told us how kind you were to him when he was frightened and alone." Emily was surprised. "David? He told you what happened?" "Of course," Ambassador Thomas smiled. "David is very young by our standards, only about 12 years old in your human terms. When he gets scared or stressed, he cannot control his body shape and falls back to walking on 4 legs. This is normal behavior for our children." Dr. Harrison's scales turned bright purple with embarrassment. "We had no idea. We thought he was just an animal." "Many species make this mistake," Ambassador Thomas said kindly. "Our young ones look very different from adults until they learn to control their shape-changing abilities. David tells us that Dr. Watson here was the first person to treat him with kindness instead of fear." Over the following days, Ambassador Thomas worked with Emily and the medical staff to establish new rules for treating unknown species. David's people, who called themselves the Peaceful Wanderers, became special advisors to the medical station. They helped create new communication methods for creatures who could not speak in ways that the universal translators understood. They taught the medical staff how to recognize signs of intelligence in species that might seem primitive at first. Emily wrote detailed reports about everything she had learned. Her new method spread to medical stations throughout the galaxy. Soon, doctors everywhere were using her approach of treating unknown patients with kindness and patience first, before assuming they were dangerous. David decided to stay on the station for a while to help with the new training programs. He had grown very attached to Emily and enjoyed helping teach other doctors about his species. In her final report, Emily wrote, "The most important medical tool we have is not our advanced technology. It is our ability to show kindness and understanding to others, no matter how different they may seem. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from complex machines, but from simply sitting with a frightened creature and saying, 'You are going to be okay.'" As she finished writing, Emily looked over at David playing with some of the medical students. He had taught them all that being different did not mean being dangerous. Sometimes, she realized, the best medicine was simply treating others with respect and love.